Oh, goodness. Well, hey, look, it's a nice summer's day, right? Lovely summer's day over here. The sun is shining, and that must surely mean that it's time for a High Five, your podcast for everything super. It's High Five number 5. Wow. Almost messed
It's
that up
high
straight out
five.
It's high, it's Vive high, it's High Five number 5. There you go.
There you
Welcome. Listen, you got your regulars, right? You got myself, I'm just Reliq. You got your Mad Magical, the man with a million whistles. But we're delighted today to be joined by a guest that promises fireworks, not just in debate, but also out there in the breach, on the battlefield, the Saros maestro that is Sprocaine. How are you doing, good sir?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too bad, Magical. You've had a good couple of weeks yourself?
I am still waking up because, it's nice and early when we record these here in California. But it was a fantastic week. Was doing stuff with my wife, helping her out with her art shows. Got to cast some games over the weekend as well. You know me, I love casting my Super 5. So it has been a lot of fun.
W
Caster.
husband. Yeah.
He's winning all around.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about, which is quite interesting because, again, we go through the quote-unquote content drought. Theorycraft lying to us yet again with the patch, which we will be reviewing. We will be talking about what we're going to, I think, dub the warm-up patch in the end, because that's the big takeaway from it. But we're also going to be diving into a little bit more, I guess, posturing and debate, argument in the whole trios versus squads situation, because it's kind of just been this underlying rumbling discussion point for Super VIVE. And Sprocaine here, I think, one of the best people to talk about it from the squad's position in particular. So we'll get to that first and foremost after our curious question of the pod. And hey, we're also going to do a couple of little competitive and also just round the rest of the world check-ins at the end. Of course, checking in with China that continues to pop off. I refuse to believe that these numbers are being sketched in any way, because it keeps on going up, and it keeps on going up at a relatively readable rate. Also, the final Battle Hub events for open beta, applications are live for one of them. There's more on the way. Maybe I've opened up the applications for another one. We'll get to that in good time. But in the meantime, what is it? It's the curious question of the pod, folks. Magical, Sprocaine, I pose this question to you. Would you rather watch/play in a game with 16 trios or 8 squads?
See, I really like the squads gameplay, but I'm a little skewed because I play the Saros character, and I think he excels in like a squads environment more than a trios environment, because like map-wise and position-wise, you really have to play to your strengths. And when there's only 3 people on the roster, there's less room for error. Versus squads, like, you can be the extra guy sometimes. Like, you don't have to like do as much, and you can just like poke them down, like keep them at their own position. But just in general gameplay speaking, I also like squads more, because I think like the chaotic fights, like one extra player on each team, it adds like a lot of like the skill cap, because you have to play around a lot of extra things, and there's a lot more room to like split apart and like play as like 3-1 or 2-2, even make some plays like with Kingpin or like a surprise oath ult from behind, where if you're trios, like, and you lose one guy, it feels like if a lot's going on in the area, you might not make it out.
But you'd rather take, because I guess the sort of when we boil it down, the 2 points that we're coming at this from is overcrowded with 16 trios, or perhaps a very quiet early game with 8 squads. Yeah. So you'd rather take the very quiet early game for, I guess, a more rich end game experience, I guess, is kind of what you're going for there.
I would, because the way that the start of the game usually pans out is like usually like at least 2, sometimes 3 teams posture for the early bosses, and I think that with 8 squads, it feels a lot less risky to do that. Like versus 16 trios. Oh my god. Do you imagine like trying to play Night Boss? Like there's 2 Night Bosses, Mana and then by Prisma, and both teams, like the teams running away, like trying to get away after they lose in Prisma, running to mana and just getting dunked on by the team that won mana, it can be very chaotic.
Well, I guess that's kind of the difference between playing in it and watching it, because I imagine for us, Magical, we're on the watching side.
Yeah.
Although, please feel free to prove me wrong, because I've got a suspicion as to what you might pick, but...
I mean, I'm a play-by-play caster by nature as well. If you're adding chaos to this, I am always going to pick the overcrowded. More things going on, more reason for me to yell at my screen. Yes, give me overcrowded 16 trios. But if I'm going, like, I do see where Sprocaine's coming from this, though. Especially for, like, teams. Like, when you're looking at this in a competitive nature, you want there to be that ability to kind of ramp up and feel like you have more control over the game, as opposed to it being that chaos that play-by-plays like myself might enjoy a little bit more. So I understand where the squad is coming from, but personally, I'm going to take the overcrowded 16 trios just because then I get to yell at the screen even more.
I think I'd have to lean on that with you as well, mostly because, like, I come from my background with sim racing and just motor racing in general. Generally speaking, the most exciting time is at the start. But then after that, it's kind of a coin flip as to, you know, tracks and drivers and different cars as to whether you get an exciting race to continue casting. There will be some low moments, of course, but it could crescendo up to have some really exciting bits. Or it could be the Monaco Grand Prix, which is easily the most boring waste of time on any calendar possible. Come at me, Monaco enthusiasts. I know you're out there, but, like, then nothing happens. They just all follow each other for, like, 70 laps around a circuit that is not built for modern cars. And I feel like, as much as squads, 8 squads in particular, shares a lot more in common with racing in that way, is in that there will be some highs, and certainly near the end it'll be way more exciting. I like the thrill of dropping and having the potential for something exciting to happen. And I don't think off the drop you'd ever have 2 squads interested in going into a battle with each other. Whereas if you have 16 trios, there's more than likely you're going to have 2 teams contesting over a POI. So at least from the selfish perspective of I want exciting games from start to finish, that's why I would lean on that side of things. But I totally get where you're coming from, Sprocaine. And actually that kind of segues quite nicely into your Super VIVE journey, because I think for me and Magical, we got to know of you around the start of the year. You know, we saw your name popping up, especially with the Homie Kissers in particular. We got to know you as this, like, the new kingpin on the scene, looking to rival your Tom Kicks, your Orlandos, your Aiden BYs, of course. But when did you start beta testing Super VIVE? When did you hear about it? Who'd you start playing with? And yeah, take us to the modern day, because you've done a lot since making your first matches.
It's kind of like an interesting story, I think, because I came from like Overwatch and like League, but I was never like super competitive in those games. But I literally was just on Steam one day, and I saw, like, it was during the Next Fest. I was just scrolling the Next Fest games, and I was like, this game looks kind of cool. Like, you know, I'll try it. I played my first game. I played Shrike, and I dropped in, and it was just very clear to me it was a bot lobby. And I was like, oh, I wonder how, like, at first I was thinking, like, how many bot lobbies am I going to have to play? And if I can skip this process, because I want to play against players, you know, get a feel how the game actually feels. So I went into, like, the Discord, and I happened to meet Luca, Fall from Grace.
Ah, okay.
Literally, like, my second game on the thing, I was like, I tried Shrike. I was like, like, she's fun, does a lot of damage, but I can see her not being too good, because, like, there's a lot of mobility in this game. So I picked Kingpin. Literally my first game, Kingpin. And I just never stopped playing him. And Luca, like, after a few games, like, we were winning a lot. And this was, like, you know, a lot of the good players were playing during this, because, like, the beta just came back. I think it was down for a bit, I want to say. And we were, like, still winning. And he was like, dude, like, I don't think I've ever seen your name before. How long have you been playing? And I was like today? He's like, what? I was like, yeah, bro, I just downloaded the game. Like, I literally, this is like, I'm on, like, my 5th game with you right now. And we just became friends off that. And then I met, like, a lot of other cool people, like Zul's Reaper, Furo Tiza, like, some, like, names, like, that a lot of like EU players would recognize, but they don't play like competitive as much. Like sometimes they do. They Furo T's team actually almost knocked out Aurora in the last Abyssal in the qualifier round. That was their team.
And that was a pickup team as well.
That was a pickup team. Yeah, no, I love that guy. Shout out that guy. He's so goated. I love him so much. But yeah, then like I started getting really good at Kingpin. I was just spamming games because, like this game I thought so much fun. Like squads, like just running it with friends, making new team comps. Like it was like I think our main squad became like me, Luca, Mr. Fluffy Fish, and Zul's Reaper, and then like Furities would come in and like other people, and we just started getting so high. I was like, I bet we could hit Master in this game. We hit Master. I was like, I bet we could hit like Grandmaster in this game, and then we hit Grandmaster. And then I remember like the RP cap was like 2K or something. Like the cap for Legend was 2K. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna hit this. So I'm not even gonna go for it. And then I played 2 days with Luca. Like one day with Luca, we played like 8 hours straight and won like every game. And then the next day I played with Zul Reapers, played like 8 hours straight. This was during the duo restriction time, so it was like only duos. And I hit Legend in like 2 days. I was like, oh my god, I'm kind of the goat.
Wow.
And then I was like, they were like, oh, we should scrim. We're getting good. Like we should try scrimming. So me, Luca, Lancelot, the Jin player, doesn't really play much anymore, and Mr. Fluffy Fish did our first scrim block. And the first game we came second or third, I want to say. I was like, holy. And then I just kept going from there. Like I kept pushing. Like I was like, me and Mr. Fluffy Fish and Lance made a team with Diablo, and then we just kept going. We had like button smashers. Lance switched teams. We got Drust, and then I was like, man, like I feel like it's mainly me and Mr. Fluffy Fish. So I wanted to get a new team. So I hit up Arcane. Me and Arcane made the Homie Kissers, and then like it just kind of spiraled into what it is today. It's amazing journey.
It's crazy to see because you have to remember, as a very average player, I struggle to conceive when you would ever think about going into scrims. So now I know that if I just win every game within an 8-hour slot, that's when I should consider going into scrims. I get it. I mean, I was
confident.
But you
also
need that confidence though.
Yeah. I forgot one thing. Shredsy put me on a tier list or something, and he put me as like a good player. Yeah, and then like I would join SCU, and I remember like the first time I think I joined like a VC with Blackrog, and then someone was like, "Hey, that's the guy who's the good player on Shredsy's tier list." And I was like, "What are we talking about, boys? Like, I don't who is Shredsy?" And then like I don't know, I started talking to all of them. Like I met Aiden BY, I met Shredsy, and now we're all pretty good friends.
Yeah, I Magical, I know that because for me, we have these players in waves, and so for me, Sprocaine is part of that next fest wave 2 of players. So you have like your Bombers, you have like your I don't know, just name them off, Aidens, Nizers, like
TRF.
But not necessarily Blackrog though. Like we're talking like your Bomber, Pumper. Like those OG rosters from Prologue and from show matches and such. And I don't know, Sprocaine for me immediately jumped out with that first. I can't even remember what your first major tournament was. It must have been.
It was one of yours.
Like a Sunday Night Vive or something. I want to say, and it's like because I don't think you took part in Living La Vive Loca, did you? I think that was a little.
You know what it was? My first tournament I ever played was the one where there was the custom access problem.
That was Thursday. That was Thursday night at Relics. That was the Sunday Night Vive moved to a Thursday because reasons. And then we had it was the worst timing possible. They had decided to restrict custom access to. Oh, sorry, it wasn't restricting custom access. They had reset custom access whitelist between the months, and we weren't aware of that until that day, because I think it was the day after patch day. And so we ended up doing, because the format was 2 qualifier games, teams go through 2 qualifier games, and then you got the finals from the accrued winners section from those 2 miniseries. And we were able to do 2 games. And that was
yeah. I remember.
So Turbo Velocity ended up winning because they basically just got the most points over 2 games. It was rough.
I have such like a monkey wrench brain that I remember the exact games and how they panned out too.
You VOD review quite intently. Like that makes up a lot of your streaming content, that you take a look back at a lot of the stuff that you play in, but you also take a look back, of course, at the stuff that you make as a TO, because that's kind of something that's more recently come about in the last few months, is you've taken it upon yourself to sort of enter the magical space of some fun tournaments with like drafting and squads and such. How did that come about?
Purely selfish reasons. I was like, I want to play in more tournaments. I'm just gonna make them. Like, they're like, I was like, there's not enough. Like, Reliq hosts these, but like, we get like monthly. You know, like, I was like, what if we had one? Like, what if we had 2 like big sets every like month? So there'd be like mine in the early. I do them every 2 weeks. Like, there'd be a for fun and a more serious one, because EGO was like fun, but it was like, it was kind of scuffed sometimes, you know. Like, but your events were really fun. I had a lot of fun playing them. So I was like, let me get in on this. Like, we need more. Like, I just want more. And then I was also thinking, like, I felt bad for people who were like a little scared to try, you know, because it's hard to make a team, like find players that you're like get along with. That's why the first one I did was like the draft one. First, I wanted to see if people were interested in it. This was just like my own like little idea, like get people like playing with new people so that they make teams. Like, I hope it worked. I actually don't know if any teams are creative.
I think it's been really good. Like, that's one of the things I really have liked about a lot of your tournaments, is that it feels like this is something I've even said about like the difference between NA and EU, was that NA, it feels more like they're trying, they're doing good, but they're not really making this community where they all are striving to make each other better. While EU, it feels like everyone's kind of working in tandem with one another to make the competition stronger, but also make every player that's really in it be elevated to a higher level, as like Reliq kind of was talking about with like the VOD reviews that you do for a lot of things. Like, EU in general just does a lot more of that than NA, and even the drafts, the draft games, the draft scrims that you guys do. Well, there are pugs over in NA and they have done tournaments that are kind of like that, and really hasn't felt like how EU has been with it, where it like really feels like everyone is wanting to play in these because they want to get better in general.
Yeah, I think getting better. I think there's like a lot of mutual respect between like the really good EU teams is the thing, and like I genuinely like everybody that I've like talked to in the scene, like, or like 1% of players that, you know, but that happens, you know. But I was talking to this about Zikarik actually yesterday, because he saw what I was doing on stream after the tournament. Like, we all hopped in a call and we were just taught like basically talking shop, I guess, where like, oh, do you see like that part? Oh, we destroyed you, like when we came up behind you, like stuff like that. Like, on it is cool because it's like me, Aiden Tredsey, Shin, Dead Barrick, Gecko, the 29ers, even though they're bad. They're not kidding.
Wow.
That's our rival team, you know. I love Beery Foray and them, but we shoot back and forth a lot. Talking, you know, we're better. No, we're better. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's for fun.
We're going to find out in a couple of weeks with the Abyssal Cup 4, because you're both signed up. I don't know whether you're going to get in the same group or not, but
I don't know. It's like, I mean, if we see them in the finals, I guess, you know, maybe they don't make it. Who knows?
Wow.
Okay.
Ooh.
I heard they named their team after how many points they're going to get.
EU banter at its finest, which I guess that is a point in of itself. Is many listeners might be hearing Sprocaine for the first time and thinking, hold on a second. Right, like,
oh yeah,
EU,
I'm American.
Like what's going? But you are an American living over on UK shores.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago, raised in Atlanta partly too, but yeah, I live in London now.
How long have you lived here, out of interest?
Like, probably like in total, like 2 years, but like I've been here 3 years, but I travel a lot. I basically traveled like a whole year. And
so is it like just for study or work, or do you like, is this like your long term? Like, do you see the UK as like your place to stick around.
I don't know about
longer.
the UK. I like cold places. It's not
Fair,
super cold here.
Same.
Like, also, like, I had to buy an air conditioner. Not gonna lie, I get hot in my apartment sometimes, man.
It's a problem with a lot of UK places is we get all sorts of weather and we're prepared for none of it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our housing is designed for winter to keep the heat in, which is great in winter. It's not great in summer.
Yeah, like it's like 80, 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and I'm like sweating. I was like, nah, I can't stand this anymore. I'm just gonna drop 300 on AC. It's fine. But the whole reason I moved out here is I just made a good, like, I was working through like COVID, and I was playing the stock market and made a decent amount of money, like enough to like support myself and like not work for like at least a couple of years, figure out what I'm doing. And I was like, but if I ever have any, debilitating injury, I'm kind of screwed. But I have dual citizenship to the UK because my dad's British. So I was like, I could just move out there.
Yeah,
that's
free
nice.
healthcare.
The healthcare is nice.
I'm just caught off guard still by you guys saying like 80, 90 degrees is hot because I live in California and I'm just like,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I lived in LA for a while, dude. Yeah, I know,
I'm just outside of LA, so it's like, I hear that I'm like, yeah, 80, 90 hot. I wish there was just that bad, but I kind of want to bring this back, go back into like Super 5 because you're talking about like your journey playing it. But there was one thing that we were mentioning before, as well as like Kingpin was the thing that we know you from for a long time. But recently you have switched off that and now are the Saros player. Where if you watch any of the highlight reels, if you watch Zodag's clips, you see you playing Saros and having these absolutely wild plays. What prompted that change?
This is gonna sound ridiculous, but it's the guy who voice acts him. I just love that guy.
Oh, Alejandro.
And
I think that's
Matt
valid.
Mercer.
I think that's
oh
valid.
my god, I love Matt Mercer. And I was like, man, let me get it. Like, let me try it. Wait, what's up?
So wait, I just want to make sure it's like, that it's Alejandro Saab who voices the character, right?
It's Alejandro Saab?
Yes.
I thought it was Matt Mercer.
So did me. So did everyone else.
Serious? He sounds just like Matt Mercer.
I am being so we're breaking his heart live on the podcast. It is 100. It's Alejandro Saab. Yeah,
I'm
it's
dropping Saros now. He's done.
Oh, rip.
He does sound like Matthew Mercer in this role, though. I agree 100%.
He literally sounds like him doing like a tavern voice in like his D&D campaign.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I'm sure he's done the
God.
exact same voice on like.
Yeah, he literally has. I was like, dude, I wish you didn't tell me.
Why am I blanking
broke
on
my
the
heart.
series? Why am I blanking on the series? The Amazon Prime series, the first.
Critical Role, or no, Vox Machina.
Vox Machina. Yeah, I swear he's done that voice in as like.
He sounds kind of like Gideon. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like it just. I was actually kind of surprised, but at the same time, Alejandro is just one of those voice actors where if you've watched or played something, he's probably in it. Like for me, I am a Honkai Star Rail enjoyer, and he voices Jing Yuan, who was one of the first like banner characters in that game, and he's one of the most prominent roles. Actually, he's one of the most prominent recurring roles. Keeps on coming back. Has a really lovely like velvety tone to his voice. But he's done a bunch of stuff, and he VTubes as Sayu. He's quite often collabing with a lot of that community, with Monarch and all those sorts of folks. I'm
not gonna lie, I feel like an idiot right now. Like, I'm kind of stoned. You know what's funny? It's like the other day I was like, I should make a montage, and I was like, let me shoot my shot. And I emailed Matt Mercer. I was like, let me get some voice lines for this. And this guy's gonna read this maybe, and he's gonna be like, what the hell is that talking about?
Wow.
Sarah? Like, what? And I gotta email this guy. Alejandro Saab. I gotta get the custom voice line.
You know what it might do? It could also get Matt Mercer on Super 5 and maybe want to like voice act for a future character,
Oh my god.
I mean, listen.
Snowball effect.
As Justin Grote said on our side vibe, which you can find here on YouTube /simply just for we're doing the plug. So he was really proud, and rightly so, of the agreement that Theorycraft made, which admittedly, like if this, as far as I am aware, the SAG-AFTRA strike is now on hold because a bunch of companies have signed those agreements finally. But Theorycraft was first on the scene. They signed that anti-AI agreement, and from what I understand, they, there are hunters that are on the way, of which the voice actors have already probably done their work for Theorycraft, and who knows, maybe there is a future where good word travels far, and people say, working with Theorycraft was amazing. They're gonna back you to the hilt in terms of your right, so maybe we will get Matt Mercer alongside all of these other goats. Yeah,
I'll play the character, obviously, because that's how I started playing Saros. Even though that's a lie now.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you're still you are the Saros guy. It's why we've got him as your avatar, for example.
I think I'm the only one who's won a tournament playing Saros.
Won a tournament, yes. I know that Stevenator has rotated onto Saros.
I actually talked to that guy a lot. He's asked me a lot of questions. I've been trying to help him find a way to fit it in his team comp.
Yeah. But I feel I feel bad. I'm like,
this is like Santa's not real. Santa's not real, Reliq. This is what she.
Wait, Santa's not real.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
Oh man.
I can't believe it. I'm actually in shock.
It's okay. It's the thing about it. It's something it was gonna be learned eventually. Might as well have it here on the high five, right? So
And
now you get to look up Alejandro Saab and see how goated he is as well.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately looked him up. I'm not gonna lie. Now I gotta email him and ask him for the custom voice line. It's like, you're saying the stuff about AI. It's like I agree. I like voice actors getting work paid. I think very respectable by Theorycraft to back that. And if I made a montage, I could have just had AI do the voice, but I don't know. It doesn't seem right, I guess.
Exactly. No. Pay your artists, folks. Pay your artists. Yeah. So from something which we're all agreed on, all unanimous on, to perhaps something which we will not be all unanimous on. Yes, that's right, folks who think that we're all positive and we're all aligned on what we all think. Mm-hmm. We've got Sprocaine on for good reason, not just because he's the GOAT and because he's one of the nicest people, but because he actually has a counter opinion to myself and Magical. Let's dig in to trios versus squads. It has been a few months of trial and error with trios. It was a big decision made by Theorycraft. The official line was that they believed that combat clarity would be far stronger. They believed that it would help queue times in a world where, even though they are not directly advertising and not looking to grow try and push growth in the player base necessarily, they still want to make that quality of life better for everyone else who is playing.
Yeah.
And so that is certainly, I think, worth mentioning, alongside the fact that they said that they do still like squads, but they had to weigh the trade-offs, and they thought that there were less negatives with the move to trios, even though it had been squads from the very beginning. And actually, my direct feedback when I first heard about the game going to trios was, expect backlash and understand that you are losing something quite unique to SuperVive. Because in going to trios, you're basically going to what Apex has got, to what other games has got. The squads was something that SuperVive could call its own. And through all that, you see a lot of players saying, nope, I'm out of here. Certainly from the casual space, there were people who had gotten their stack of 4 together, and they were now no longer interested in playing because they'd have to drop one. Certainly not just ripples, huge waves through the competitive scene where every single established team had to basically choose a player to say goodbye to if they weren't leaving the game themselves. And in and amongst all that, we have you, Sprocaine, who, right from the beginning, you have been so anti-trios. You are incredibly vocal in your belief that the game should return to squads. And so really, it kind of leads into the question as we kind of open up this discussion, why do you still play Super Vive. That's not meant in a condescending way or anything. It's just like the outward voice doesn't match the passion and the time that you spend on this game.
I mean, obviously, I love the game. Like, and I don't even think Trios is bad. Like,
whoa,
I think it works.
That's the biggest surprise of all. You don't think Trios is bad? No
I
way.
don't think it's bad. I just think Squads is much better.
Okay.
I get like the combat clarity thing, I guess, but I think a lot of people will play a game like this because they like how like in-depth the combat is, and I think they've removed depth from the combat because you just don't have to like there's like a whole like character missing basically from each fight on each team. Now you've heard like my points as to why I like Squads more, but you haven't heard my points as to like if they keep it Trios, what I would like to see. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. And we should, I think I'll interject here to say that is also part of the official line. Maybe not so much when Trios first dropped, but we have seen multiple confirmations from the likes of Pwiff on the Discord that Trios will be the 1.0 mode. Like, this is the mode that Super Vive is going with. Yeah.
So my thoughts is they've simplified the game a little bit just by like removing a character from every team. And that's why I don't like it. Like, that's my main argument as to why I think Squads is better. But if we're keeping it Trios, I think that they should add more to each character. Like one more ability. Like, just add a little extra something. Because I think just like having more stuff to work with and like also like play against makes the game better. And I think that this game is like a very niche, like this could be like a very big game, in my opinion. Like, I can see this game doing well, but I think that the depth of combat has to be deeper than what it currently is. Because the powers are good. I like the powers, but it feels like, to me, it feels like every character's missing something for some reason now. If that makes sense.
I'm a piggyback off this because this is something I have said for a bit of like what I would like to see like added to the game, which I called it like the level 5 abilities, where you have this opportunity to change a gameplay style for a certain hunter if you decide to index more points into one ability as opposed to another, and then you drop the other one so that you can have that extra point into something that then changes it to be almost kind of like, if you know how Dota 2 is, they have Aghanim Scepter that can change your ultimate, or it changes your abilities in a pretty monumental way that makes you now do something different than you're normally going to be able to do. And this is something I've wanted to see added in. Like, this is something I've been kind of like theory crafting myself. Yes, gotta get theory crafting there. Of like a way to make the game have that more depth and have more, because I come from League of Legends too. And I was very well known in the space for having played every champion with every build. Like, I have tested pretty much everything in League of Legends, and I know what all of that stuff does. But you don't really have that kind of depth in Super Vive outside of the powers. The powers, yes, you can do that, but the items that you have in the game are, I think, more what players are going to like gravitate towards to have that uniqueness. They're not going to understand the powers right out of the gates. And you want to give players that sense that they have this greater control and have that more depth to their ability in the game with how they design their hunters. And I think that would be a fun way to do it. Like, personally, that's why I'm piggybacking off of you on this one, Sprocaine, and be like, this is something I've wanted to see added in, and I would like to like try to see if down the line maybe Theorycraft can look at that as like an angle to add that depth.
Yes. So there's another thing about the builds that I kind of want to piggyback off of what you said, and I kind of wanted to flip it on you guys because you guys have asked me some questions. I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
How do you feel about hunters being able to build 2 of the same item? Like, example, Bishop double tech, Myth double tech.
Personally, I'm for it.
Yeah,
I think I don't see why not. I honestly think that having double items is perfectly fine because you are limited on how many items you get to build in the game, and so if you're not going to have that depth when it comes to items that are in the game, kind of like how League of Legends, Dota, they have so many different items that you can choose from, just let people double up.
Yeah. Reliq, what about you?
I mean, it's flexible. It's encouraging flexibility in how you how you utilize equipment. And I think that with a few more, it goes back to a thing that we were talking about on the last episode, where we'd quite like maybe like another tank. You know, we'd like I think Hunters going forward, which encourages different builds, because you look at someone like Felix, for example, and you can run a double vamp blade on a Felix and go for the the ultra lifesteal. You could sort of go half and half with what's it? The traditional build tends to be vamp bladed helmet, for example, but there's also so many Hunters. You look at Eva, for example, where finding 2 pieces of equipment with cooldown reduction is going to be essential for her, because you combine that with her passive, and all of a sudden you've got not just a scary support, you've got one of the scariest endgame Hunters, period. It's why someone like bringing them back, Fall from Grace, invests so much time in Eva. OC15 as well. We've seen OC use that Q and bring people into the death orbs. Like, they're just like single platform, small amount of space. You're not getting out of here without like 75% of your health. And that's, I love that. But I also think that we do have to take a step back and recognize, because I'm sort of a spoiler to the patch review ahead, but the wordage that's now being used by Theorycraft about 1.0 suggests to me that there is going, or well, not that there is going to be, but that there could very well be a monumental shift in how we see this game. I mean, we've heard whispers about the armory, for example. What on earth is that? Is that going to introduce new equipment, new powers, new things again that we can't even comprehend right now, because it's not in front of us? We don't have something that we can compare it to. There's, I think that I get where you're coming from, and maybe, and this is just the optimist in me, maybe 1.0 actually fixes all of those issues along with all of the Saros bugs.
Yeah, oh my god, if they fix the RMB Saros bug. If they fix the RMB Saros bug, it's over for these other teams.
It's on the table, though. They confirmed it in the patch notes. They said, we see it, we're working on it, we're trying.
You know how many kills I've lost because my gun jams? It makes me so sad.
Oh.
But what I was going to say about the double item, I think it's unhealthy on some characters. Like,
True.
Myth being able to perma arrow ring.
Yeah,
I think that's very bad for even for like a viewer POV. Like, it disallows teams from being able to make plays, because like there's no down period where this thing isn't up. Like you always have to go through the anti-heal. It shuts down a lot of, like Eva, it shuts down like a lot of characters that could like be healing their team, because you have to dash through it and waste a dash, or just like take extra damage and just jump through it. Another example, like Bishop RMB, I think 5 seconds on that's a little wild.
Yeah, although
very good displacement ability.
I would argue that is also on Theorycraft to balance the Hunters in a way. Like, I'd rather keep the flexibility, and the key word there is depth. You know, I've kind of memed on it in the past, but I think it is a genuine concern as well, where we don't want to remove having the flexibility to go on to double item builds just because one Hunter is, or 2 Hunters or 3 Hunters are starting to exploit that. You know, the balance changes should negate being able to just run riot with these things, which, as has already been stated, is not at the top of the list for Theorycraft. At least for the moment, they're focusing on the bug fixes more than the balance. Maybe we'll get some balance changes before 1.0. But it's I think that's really insightful to see that there is still room for trios to appeal to people who always enjoyed squads more. I think that's like the gray area that not a lot of the Doom posters like to admit is a thing. That if you can have the best of both worlds.
If I wasn't having fun playing the game, I wouldn't play it, and I'm still playing the game. You know, like
that's really fun.
I'm not like I'm not like super doomer on that aspect personally. Like, I think trios can work. Don't get me wrong. I just think they have to. There needs to be adjustments that I just don't think have been made yet. But 1.0, you know, like
And I will say,
they have said just they're cooking.
There is another side to it as well, in that I really want squads to be reintroduced as like a classic mode, because I feel sad at the idea of a bunch of new players coming in for Super VIVE 1.0. This game hypothetically pops off in a big way, and those players didn't get the opportunity to play what Project Loki used to be. I would love to have that option in the future. Like, even though the characters and the way that the game is going is in no way balanced for squads anymore, I'd like that option to be there as a fun mode to just queue into, you know, rather than just relegating it to customs.
Yeah, that could be cool. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's funny because I actually, like, I'm torn on squads and trios, because coming from the casting angle, like, trios, it allows for more chaos, which is a lot of fun for a play-by-play caster. But I also, like, being a caster, I do like getting into more of the nitty-gritty, talking about narrative stuff. And sometimes trios just is a little bit too much, where you're not able to really get a lot of that weaved into conversation naturally, because you're bouncing from one fight to another one, while squads kind of allows you to be able to talk a bit more in that early game, because it is more of the late game style. You are playing more towards the end of the game. So it's like, I personally, I miss squads for that reason, because I did like having that ability. It was the setup at the beginning where you talk about the narratives, give players and teams that people can start looking at, and then you get to the late game, and then that's when, like, all the fights happen and the chaos is a play-by-play. But I feel like that's eventually going to be the case for trios too. Like, as you were talking about, squads has been around for so long, players had gotten so used to it, like, from the alpha days before. Like, sure, we have players like Sprocaine who came in during the Next Fest era, but so many other players were able to kind of lead them and say, hey, this is how things were in the past. Like, and then their teams start doing the same kind of thing. I think trios is starting to get to that, where you see the early game is not quite as chaotic. It is still a little bit chaotic, but it is more geared towards the late game that I'm a fan of when it comes to a commentator, as well as like a spectator when it comes to esports. So I'm okay with what has happened, where squads might be gone. I'm sad about it. Do I want to see a classic version of it? Maybe one day, but I'm okay with trios.
Amen with that.
Yeah.
Amen with that. All right, let's talk patch, because contrary to popular belief, they decided to drop a big one. They now are very adamant that this will be their last big patch, but I think this was kind of out of nowhere for a lot of people. Understandable, because Theorycraft are tight-lipped. I think understandably so, especially with a bunch of things that they want to save for the 1.0 big marketing push. They also mention here that for 1.0, and this is the direct quote, 1.0 will be a significant evolution of Super VIVE as we know it. And so what has been added to the game here, as Jess later clarified actually in one of the post-patch discussion threads that popped up, was this is merely set dressing before 1.0. This should not be considered 1.0 content in any way. It's content that they could get ready and they could push out now, and they're going to get lots of testing in so that when 1.0 does hit, it's running super peak and super efficiently. What is running? Warm-up mode. Oh my goodness, what a game changer this is. What a game changer. Hey, remember all of those 5 to 10 minute queue times? You can play the game now in a deathmatch, which admittedly is a little buggy. And there are some significant lag spikes where people go into game, but gosh darn, is it a lot of fun to just run around the map and kill people.
It's so much fun. I play a character that's terrible at it. I have so much fun. Like, oh my god, I love it so much. Also, like, it's the ultimate hands warming simulator for like before like competitive play. I will just sit in this and just pop shot. Like, you should see my warm ups highlights. They go crazy. I mean, you probably will in Zodag's video, but oh my god, I love just like I love Abyss play Saros on the Abyss maps. It's so much fun to play.
You should see
this mode is the best.
You should see my highlights. It's scumbag behavior. I'm currently trying to get Eva to Mastery 7. And so I just load into warm up on Eva. And especially on the Cold Fang map, there's a couple of bushes. I just wait in the bushes.
This works for that?
And when I see no, you have to get the EXP from the end of a game. To contribute to mastery. But what I'm saying is that during warm-up mode, I sit in the bushes. When there's a duo or a fight that comes my way, hit the R. Oh no, they're trapped. They don't know what's happening. People bush camping in a death match. What is this? And then I get 3 kills. And the first time that I saw my name hit the top 3 was glorious.
Nice.
One of the highest highs I've ever had in this game. 2 years of playing.
I ran into you in a warm-ups game recently. I want to say,
you decided to kill me.
We had a tree fort. No, we made the tree
no,
fort in the.
You killed me in front of the tree fort.
Okay, well, accidents happen, you know, like. And then I realized you were just chilling, and I tried to get you in the tree fort.
Yeah, Orlando's was in there. He was having a good time. I'm like,
he's like,
I don't want to fight people.
Come to my home. I was like, what? I love Orlando's. Orlando's one of my favorite players.
Wait. Reliq, this is the big question. Did you put the heart emote above your head or not when you were trying to get this with Sprocaine? If not, Sprocaine's perfectly acceptable that Sprocaine attacked you.
My emote wheel is full of absolute cinema, so there wasn't really too much that I could...
Fair.
There's the problem, though. That's an understandable one, but you got to have at least one for the heart, so that way Sprocaine knows that there's going to be a truce there.
Is there like a thing like the casters notice? Because I heart emote a lot of people. That's my go-to. I always wonder like what people think.
I think it's hard to translate sometimes. I feel like because of the way that players naturally are, we sort of lean more towards, oh, that's some BM. Like that's some like royal BM that we're seeing there.
It also depends on who it is. Because if it's someone like Pine,
right, exactly. If it's Pine, it's like, okay, you understand. It's yeah.
I actually talked to Pine and Phenom about this. Because I already got everybody.
But if it's someone like 420, you know that it's probably like, but there's some beef going on here that I don't want to be a part of.
I was doing NA scrims and I was subbing for a team, and they were like emoting this team, and I was like, should I not be doing that? I'm just hard emoting.
Because it depends on who it is too. Like I said, if it's Pine, it's pretty much a given that the scroll wheel is going to be auto bound to emotes. Like just anytime he moves, he wants to be able to emote. But then you have other teams like those of Cat that don't like the emotes and are more about like the serious nature of the game. And so you have kind of have this odds. And so you'll see Pine will emote certain teams, but not other teams for that reason.
I see. Yeah, I was just throwing them out.
If we're gonna speak them by name, I do love Cat, but they have to understand it's like school playground rules. The more that you complain about emotes, the more that the people are gonna just emote on you, and it's unfortunate. Yes, could it be classed as childish? Absolutely. But you know what you do is you get better and you kill them and you emote on them, and then it's like.
I love
then
this
you got them back. Yeah.
I love this line of thinking because, in my opinion, it's also a competitive aspect of the game. If you can mind game your opponents into making mistakes because they're like frustrated, like if you're trying to win, like if there's a tournament and there's like $12,000 on the line for said tournament, and I know emoting pisses you off, I'm gonna emote you because you're gonna come at me and you're gonna want to kill me and make a mistake in doing so.
Now this is something that like. Back with Riot, where they at first didn't want anyone emoting during games because they thought of it as childish, all this stuff. But after a while, they kind of loosened up on allowing teams to do so. And I think it was for the better, but it was too late. They should have just let players do that from the beginning because I am with you I'm with you as well. I think personally, as a caster, I think emotes aren't hurtful. Like, yeah, I get that you want to take this seriously, but as you're talking about Sprocaine, it's like if there's like an actual prize pool on the line, and you know that one team's gonna be like feel at a disadvantage because you're emoting, why wouldn't you take that advantage to try to win that prize? like people can complain about it, but it is a part of the game. And
There's
I
also-
think that you should just be okay with the emotes. Yeah, you go, bro.
Sorry, there's also like it's esports. You know what I mean? And in sports, like NFL, you score a touchdown, you do a backflip or a dance. Like, I think it's similar to that. Like, and yeah, it's like kind of like it's a little BM. Like, it's kind of like you're like talking smack or like whatever. Like, sometimes it's directly talking smack depending on the sport. But I think it's good for like the viewer perspective because I think it just makes it more interesting. Like, if you see two teams and they're always pulling out if there's two teams, they're always playing out the same emotes at each other, like whenever they beat each other, but they're not doing it to other teams. I think like it establishes like a sort of like, oh, these guys don't like each other. Like there's a rivalry here or something. And it makes like it pulls you into the games more if there's like these sort of like storylines, I guess.
I agree.
Because I don't know, like I kind of just do that myself, like in my own head, honestly. Like I mean, it's kind of like translated to just how it is, but like the Shy and 29 have like a little rivalry. Like I love all the players on 29. Like Beeroof, love that guy. 10 out of 10 dude. Absolute muscle man too. Ori, Yui, Cat Girl Cafe Manager. Love them all. But when we get out of like scrims or like games and either we won or they won, it's like we're talking so much smack to each other. It's like like it's just back and forth. I'm like, Ori, how does it feel to be the third best myth? Like stuff like that.
This is why I like EU. This is why I like EU.
It's the banter.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you hit the nail on the head. Like, there's one thing which I really dislike about a lot of esports, and is that everyone lacks so much. Like, there's no personality. There's no
personality. Everything.
Their personality is the classic arms folded esports pose, staring straight down the camera. No smile, no nothing. It's just this. And I'm like, why? Why can't we just, like, relax a bit? If you're a nerd, be a nerd. If you're bully, you know what? Be a bully. I look at Don't Do Drugs in NA. They're the villains. But you know what? It's fun when Dick Dastardly wins sometimes as well.
It is.
And going back to that 12th, like, you know, like the multi-$1,000 prize pools or whatever, if you are a serious team and you're telling me with my TO hat on, oh, I think this is really awful, like they threw us off, if they're trying to allude to the fact that they lost this tournament because people emoted at you, I'm sorry.
See, you're a much nicer guy than me, Reliq.
Grow up.
You're
because,
you're much nicer.
like there is a line that I'm not willing to go over in the name of competitive fairness, because I think, as soon as you remove the mental game side of sports, forget esports for a bit, as soon as you remove the mental side of sports, you lose a huge slice of what makes it so enticing in the first place. I look at Cat versus Don't Do Drugs now, and that's one of the most interesting things about North America at this moment in time. You know, aside from the last orc managing to aura out Mooned Battlegrounds on you know, Abyssal Cup, and the rise of For Fun, Saucy Hack Squad as a potential contender now for that top 3 slot. This is the sort of stuff that, as casters, we dream about it. You know, a Super VIVE Global Series down the line or whatever. We want to see those storylines growing now, so that by the time we get there,
let me catch these NA players that land. I'll show them.
Bro, I'm so excited for wherever the first LAN will be, and I'm gonna be positive where it will be.
In my backyard.
Yeah, so, just like with a bouncy castle and everything. It's good to go.
Theorycraft, you got my flights, right?
Speaking of prep, we got new practice tutorials and challenge room stuff. Better than it was before. Not as good as it should be. That feels to be like the general vibe right now.
I think it's a good change, though. Like, it teaches players more about the game. Like, obviously, you know, doesn't really do anything for me, because I've played the game for 1,000+ hours, but I think it's good for new players.
Yeah.
I have yet to test this with my wife to see how it is. That's why, like, any of these new early game things, that's how I, like, test if it's good. I have my wife play it.
A wife test.
And she'll kind of, like, look at it and be like, she'll look at me. If she's confused, then I know it's bad. If she's, like, able to get it on her own without asking for help, it's good.
Love that.
Shout out to Natalie Van Sistine, who returns as Jewel to voice over all of these tutorial rooms as well. Just helps add a sense of the world, just character building. Love to see it. Also, the fact that you get some quite decent rewards in terms of like call sign, I think a glider, but at the end of the main tutorial, you get Ghost, which is, I think, a great starter hunter as well, Ghost, but a little bit more complex than maybe like your Kristas. I think that's...
Didn't we say something about that too back in like episode 2?
Yeah, we were talking about how Krista should be the starter hunter.
Yeah, Krista should be like the starter hunter, but Ghost wasn't bad either. Like, it was Shrike before, which we all said Shrike was just a little too complicated for people at the beginning.
Yeah. Which is actually quite ironic because people think it's way easier to use Shrike because of the marksman passive. And the fact that you get that damage bonus out is like, just learn movement.
It's like Shrike is weird because it's like, immediately she's really good, and then you play against people who know how to play the game, and she's terrible. But then,
unless it's Pine.
Then there's like the Hot Biscuits and Pines.
True. Yeah,
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Hot Biscuit not around for a while, but
I was gonna say, like, it pains me to do this. I put like the whole of Pumpers in like a TBD zone at this point. If they return to the game, if they return to competitive, they could be good. But the competitive scene is also, and especially EU, has moved so far beyond. I mean,
they're weak.
With
their strength was always farming the weaker teams, so it was like there's not as many weaker teams now.
They always struggled with Bomba. Struggled with Bomba.
I'll throw some glaze though. Blixman, that's my goat. I love that guy.
Oh yeah, underrated. Underrated.
He's mechanically insane. I knew I made it in the game when and I was like big when I started playing with Blixman. That was like I became friends with my bully type thing because I would get run down by this guy. We would lose so many games just because I'd kill Chipsa, I'd kill Hot Biscuit, I'd kill Chapel. They're all great players. But I'd hit him with a kingpin hook or something and it'd surprise him, and then Blixman would be last alive with Crown. And he'd come and he'd do some crazy. Ooh, I'm gonna dunk you over Mrs. Jin, or I'm gonna get away and just run around for a minute and 40 seconds. And it's like, all right, I hate you, but so much respect for you as a player.
We miss Pumpers. I did have a chat with Chapel the other day. There's a genuine reason why Chapel doesn't play Supervive as much anymore, like a wrist injury.
A wrist, I love Chapel.
Which is a shame because I think, technically speaking, he was one of the best Alunas in the world.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Zuna though. Great Aluna.
Zuna also great. Yeah. Fall from Grace was actually really good on Aluna. Yeah, Fall from Grace is kind of like vying for that top support in EU, I think, alongside Shroom on the Zeph.
He's like a bait support. He's a support. He'll heal, but he's out there to carry. Don't let him.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Luca does not play the bunny to be passive. Luca is playing battle bunny.
The bunny's got a gun. Yeah. It's got a gun. Run away.
I think Azuna is the best support player, support style. But Luca, he's a little battle bunny, isn't he?
I'd love to see Azuna play more. At the same time, I don't want to see Azuna play more because she is incredibly, incredibly useful as a moderator and as somebody to help run these tournaments. She is the GOAT that not enough people give her respect for, I don't think, for. So,
I respect the hell out of her. No, she's one of my favorite people in the scene. I don't know. I love her. She's the GOAT.
Couldn't agree more. Let's rush through these. So circle damage. Circle damage is it now deals true damage. I actually thought low key pretty major change in that it now no longer is negated by armor damage reduction. Right. It is just the circle deals X amount. Don't matter whether you got white armor, broken armor, or abyssal armor. So you have to plan your rotations a lot more proactively now rather than maybe thinking that you can chance it with better armor and that you could just repair it on the other side. We also had the most wanted bug that was fixed. Thank goodness.
Yeah. That needed to be fixed.
You just jump off, get a most wanted, and hey, everyone's level 9 on day 1. Whoop-de-doo. So no more of that. But I know that Logic was jumping for joy with this one. DI. Directional influence. So I'll run back the quote that we got here. We've heard feedback that repetitive knockbacks can be tilting. Hello, Brawl. Especially against Brawl LMB. We're introducing a new system to give knockback victims more control over the direction they're impulsed by certain attacks. Simply put, your WASD movement input now affects the direction you've been sent in when hit by certain knockback attacks. We'll keep a close eye on this system to see if we should apply it to more attacks on a broader scale. We smash now? A little tongue-in-cheek reference to Super Smash Brothers, of course, which is where directional influence has been lifted from, albeit on a far more 3D scale, of course, in that is a lot more ways that you can bounce about with DI. So I think just a general question, have we seen DI have the influence that we would hope to see from it to give knockback victims a little more agency, or not enough?
I think it definitely feels more playable now. Like, I don't think Brawl is like, I think he's strong in NA, but like, run into him in warm-ups now and it doesn't feel like he can just push me against the wall and insta-kill me over like 3 seconds of Saros. I like the change, honestly. And any Bebo nerf is a good nerf, in my opinion. I hate playing against that character, specifically because VZ Orlando's.
Saying this in the presence of Magical is brave.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I play against VZ Orlando's on the daily. Like, me and him, love that guy.
Fair.
We have our little arena rivalry. Whenever I see this Bebo character in the patch notes, I don't think, oh, Bebo's getting buffed. I think VZ Orlando's is getting buffed or nerfed.
That is very fair, especially because, like, in EU, we do see more Bebo than we do over in NA. So when I see the Bebo for NA games, I'm very excited. I'm like, yes, we get some Bebo. But then, like you said, for EU, it's like there are a few Bebo, like, aficionados that stick to it no matter what. So certain players are just, it's like, do they get buffed or nerfed is really going to be the question. Honestly, we'll say for like the DIs, I haven't really felt it, mostly because I play Hudson. So I play Hudson and occasionally Bebo or Kingpin. And I haven't really seen anything personally. At least I haven't felt anything either from playing those hunters. But I think it situationally is a good change to have into the game. Again, it's just giving people more influence over the game. And when you give more control to players, even in these small, minute, niche areas, people are going to feel better about the game when they're investing more time, because that's the whole idea with 1.0, right? Is that we're hoping that with 1.0, that a lot of these big changes are going to get a whole new crowd of people in, but then afterwards that they're going to be incentivized to stick around. That's the big thing. Like, people kind of forget. It's not just about getting the players to come back. It's getting them to stay. And so any changes that do that, in my opinion, are good changes.
Yeah.
Does Hudson's shift not have a knockback?
It does, but it wasn't affected by this.
But that does make sense.
Body check.
He's a big boy. Yeah, I would expect you not to be able to react well to Hudson flying into you in jets.
Such a weird ability, though.
It's a very weird one because it doesn't really synergize with the rest of the kit. If you know League of Legends terms, this is kind of like Gragas now having his dash ability, but you put it on someone like Malphite where he already had that ability, so it just feels weird to have something like that into this kind of kit.
Putting Gragas on Yumi.
Yeah, that would be that's a better one. That's a better one, because it's just like, why does the cat have the ability to knock people back? But I guess it's there now, and so that's how I feel about the one for Hudson. I'm like, yeah, it's there now. I use it like once every 10 games.
Yeah, I see like the Oath is in this too. I just feel bad for Beeroof because he's already pretty bad at Oath, and he's getting nerfed again. It's like, man, it sucks for him.
This podcast loves Beeroof. Moving on.
I love Beeroof too.
I was about to say, you go from glazing Beeroof like not more than 10 minutes ago. It's absolutely
no one's
flaming.
Safe. No one is safe. Let's stick with Hudson. Let's dance around the patch a little bit. So Hudson has been given a buff.
It's the one I wanted to.
And it was what you want. So specifically speaking, turn rate restriction at maximum heat is down, up 25 degrees per second to 45 degrees per second. It's a little bit unclear in this. Basically, the turn rate has been faster. Yes, I think it's up from 25 degrees per
it's
second
up
to
from
45
25.
degrees per second. Yeah.
I think it's good.
Move speed slow is now reduced by 10% as well. The spin up base bullet damage is increased by roughly 6.5% across all levels. You got barbed wire, which arms just a little bit faster. Generally speaking, I know it's not the most exciting level of numbers to read. I think that people would much rather see bigger swings on Hunter balance, but Hudson has had that happen to him before in the other direction, and it nukes the character out of existence. So I'd rather them slowly but surely bring it back into competitive viability.
Honestly, I think these changes are perfect. I have played it. I honestly have no complaints about it. I don't even think you need to go beyond this. I think Hudson's in a good spot now. I think that Hudson is perfectly playable. Honestly, like this is me putting on like the tinfoil cap now and be like, I feel like it might have gone too far. I feel like there's
really,
because I feel like, and this is funny for someone as Hudson player to say, because I think that Hudson, as you talked about, you have to be so careful with buffing, because if you aren't careful with a character like this with the design, it can take over the game very easily, and then players later down the road can get frustrated playing up against something that is so good at controlling. Like, control hunters really do need the most finest of details when it comes to how you're going to buff and nerf them. Nerfing is easier because if you nerf them, they're just going to be gone forever. But if you buff them, you have to make sure that you're so cautious. I think this turn duration, the spin duration is good. And like how fast you can turn around is good. I actually think that maybe giving him a little bit less, the movement speed slow that's I think the one where I'm like, you don't really need to do that, nor the damage increase, because I feel like the big thing was that he wasn't able to spin around fast enough with the spin barrels out. You don't want to give too much because that's the whole idea of gating his kit, but those are the only two where I'm like, maybe those could cause a couple of issues later down the road, but those are going to be easy ones that you can kind of take off. That's why I said putting like the conspiracy on this one and be like, gotta be careful with Hudson on how you want to go with this one, because it might favor someone like me a little bit too much.
I actually think Hudson. I actually think Hudson is one of the benefits of like trios, where I don't think he'll ever be in the state that he was in squads when it was like super oppressive, because like it's like he's the main guy now. Like when it was squads, you'd have to deal with Hudson and like a myth and like a kingpin and an oath, and now you just have like, if it's trios, it's like if you take out the Hudson, that's like the main rage damage, and it's like a lot more. So I think that's a benefit. Like just because we were talking about the trios earlier, I will shout out some of the benefits.
I'm so like in sync with you. I think Magical, if I saw these buffs for a squads game, I'd be like, that's a very well protected Hudson in competitive play, in like competitive level. That is going to get very oppressive very quickly. I think that he is exposed enough in trios where you can afford to give him like these little presents sprinkled across his kit, and I think that he is powerful and he is good. But I mean, this patch has been out for a few days. We're recording for record's sake 15th of June, so it's been out for what, 3-4 days, this patch. We've had 2 tournaments, including a squads tournament since then, and I've not seen Hudson meta.
He won game 7 of the squad.
A game.
Hey, I'm just gonna say this right now. You all laughed at me before when I said that Hudson was good. Everyone's like, you're just lying, Magical. You don't know. And then
why are you continuing to steal my thunder on this? I told you that Hudson was good, and then you're running with this. Oh, I told everyone that Hudson's good. I knew.
Reliq, stop fact checking me.
Magical, I get 100,000 million times % where you're coming from, because I play Saros, and like people told me when I started playing Saros in comp, they're like, I think aside from like Treadsy, he's like, I think you can make it work in like specific scenarios. Everyone else was like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? It's never gonna work. Then we won our first tournament. So Magical, go win your first tournament.
Yeah, go win your first tournament. Hell yeah. Actually though, great point about meta is that, unfortunately, with so many games, people are sheep. They see what everyone else is playing and decide that everyone else is probably right. Therefore, innovate. If you bring a wild card pick to the table, people don't know how to deal with it. They just don't. Nobody saw Saros before you started bringing it to the table, Sprocaine. And then all of a sudden, the Shies are winning so many scrim games and such with this Sprocaine Bishop combo. And it's like, okay, like we're cooking something quite unique here. And that must make you feel proud that you're kind of standing up as this trailblazer in a way.
These teams see, so like me, Yasser, Hachi pull up with 2 E-plats, a 2-way teleporter, and a base camp in Abyss, and they're shaking. I'm telling you, they the things we've done to TRF in Abyss, I can't speak on it. Frenzy would get mad at me.
Quick word on Carbine, by the way. First nerfs for the character of significant note, but are they really significant? I feel like Carbine is still in a place where
I think he's balanced now.
There's so much going for it that he's still I mean, you know, just like his kit alone is so synergizable with different comps.
I didn't have a problem with him, but I play Saros. He's like 3 screens away. But I know Hachi, you know, my teammate, hated playing against him. He would get like one tapped if he went in sometimes. So he really likes these changes. I think they're good. I don't think he's like bad or anything. I think he's just like very like middle of the pack, leaning upper.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Carbine, and we keep seeing this trend that Carbine is good, just not S tier, which is perfect. Yeah. I mean, it's also hard to kind of compete with the current S tiers right now in Myth and Oath, where they just will constantly be thorns in the side of every single game because the range that they provide. You talked about like the anti-heal that you get from Rain of Arrows from Myth, and then Oath just being able to stand in front of everyone, be a big old meat shield for everyone, and absorb that damage with Bright Shield. It's just they're really good tools to have on your kit.
Shrike got a minimal base movement speed increase, although I think that's kind of overdue. It's just a little extra thing. EMP grenades just like take out shields. That's just what it does now. It doesn't matter what level shield you got. 99,999 damage from the EMP grenade.
I like this.
Bye-bye armor.
I was going to say, I quite like it because you don't see EMP grenades that often anyway. Like, maybe there's 1 or 2 teams who are carrying 1 at end game, and that was before this buff. Like, it's kind of like just an item to have. The fact it's still a skill shot, you still got to land it, you still got to, you know, hit the enemy, but
it's travel time.
What a game changer in end game if you are able to hit with the EMP.
Oh my god. There's such a funny clip from my tournament where V0 Orlando's gets hit by one because he doesn't see it, and then he repairs the armor, and then he gets hit by another one, and then he repairs the armor. It's so funny.
Oh my god.
Do we think that's going to massively change the meta? Do we think that people will specifically go out of their way for EMPs for endgame, or
I think now they will.
I think it's one of those things where it's like you open a chest, you pick it up, and then like you see people during a fight, and you just chuck it at them before the fight. Maybe it hits, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it's gonna like game change, but if you hit it, it's obviously like a huge deal. Like if someone's like full like red or gold armor, like all that damage reduction gone. That's pretty big for the fight.
I think
especially if they don't have a base camp.
Yeah, it now has more functionality in games, which I feel like before it was just something that you kind of you would never really touch, and now it's something that you can actually like look at as like a reasonable take, where you're like, okay, we like say it's a team that just got revived, right? They're low on armor, they were able to somehow get an EMP grenade, and they're going up against a team that has full golds or reds. Now you have it's the great equalizer. It's something that you can, if you hit it, now makes it so that you're not quite as far behind that team as you might have been previously. So the comeback potential is a little bit stronger.
I did like him before too, though, because you could just like undo people's base camps, which is pretty nice. Like you remove the vision, like especially playing with Hachi, like that guy looking for we call it big punch. He's looking for his big punch, and if we throw away the base camp vision, that gives they don't see him on the flank, and that can really hurt the enemy team. Especially when me and Yas are just poking.
W patch though. I mean, I know that we've kind of skipped over all the bug fixes and QOL bits and bobs, but for a last big patch, especially with the warm-up mode, like that feels like one of the most universally loved patches of open beta, I'm even willing to say.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a 5 out of 10 for me.
I give it like a 9 out of 10. Like, honestly, you could remove everything from the patch. You could remove everything from the patch, just have the warm-up, and I'd still...
Oh, here it comes.
No patch will ever get higher than 5 until they buff bullet trains to have 5, and they get faster when they kill people.
He needs to do the bits, okay? Every podcast, he just needs to do the bit.
Until it happens.
Until it happens.
Oh my God.
So basically, every single podcast, this is going
to... It's the bullet trains I love, because every tournament, 29 dies to trains. It's so funny.
Great, honestly,
trains are the best.
Great train clip from Magical by the other day with Avatar dying by the heart.
Oh my God! Wait. Do you remember the last Abyssal? Chu teleported their whole team into the bullet train.
Yes.
I think that's one of the best, funniest clips I've ever seen.
It was so baffling that I didn't even comprehend that it had happened.
Yeah, I
was just like, I saw that they died to the world, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, and what was it? Gecko spinning into the train.
Yeah.
That was one of the wildest games I've ever seen in my life.
It was especially funny because, like, I remember the camera looking at them, and it was like, oh, this team is so strong. They're definitely poised to win the game. And then it pans away, and then they're just dead. Like, 10 out of 10, like, comedic timing.
Oh, goodness.
I love this game. This is why I love this game.
I love this game to bits as well. And apparently so does China. Let me just hit the refresh here, because another significant milestone has been reached. Wow! So I opened up this page at the start of the podcast. I'm not even joking. So what was this? Like an hour and a half ago. And it was on 3.5 million. Maybe like the odd 2,000 there. And I've just refreshed it 90 minutes later. 3.52 million. So in the space that we have been talking, 20,000 people have pre-registered to play Super VIVE over in China. Now, we are missing critical data. We don't know what the CCU looks like. We are given snippets of information. Players like Levend, of course, who big shout out to these absolute gigachads who are able to deliver like snippets from this other region. You know, they're bilingual, able to, you know, give us some updates. And they've talked about similar sort of issues that we see over here, especially the vets and the competitive feedback. That feels like that's also being seen over in China, but I'm sorry, you can't look at 3.5 million people for a game that nobody's ever heard of and not be enthused.
I mean, I think something to be optimistic about. For sure. It's a lot of signups. But it's going on as well, though, isn't it? Right? Like,
yeah, it's ongoing right now.
It's not like pre-signups anymore. Now it's just like signups, right?
I guess it's technically pre-registries for 1.0.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
So you can just download the game now.
Yeah. I was like, the pre-thing made me like, wait, can they not play it? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen the clips, but yeah.
So I will say, like, I'm very excited about this. One, because I think that China and Super VIVE are a match made in heaven.
Agreed.
If you know anything about League of Legends and the LPL, that's a region that's very chaotic. They love scrappy fights. They like to show the mechanical prowess that they have playing all these different champions for the league. Super VIVE is essentially that the entire game. It is always that. That's the whole point of Super VIVE. So Chinese players, this is like perfect for them because they like to show off how much more of the micro that they have a grasp over than other players. And I think as the game continues to it will be a snowball effect where it's going to start off like these slow rolls, and we have been seeing that has been the case for China. The more people that get it, they're spreading this around because it is such a fun game, and I think in the hands of the Chinese players that this game is going to continue to explode, especially over there. And then when we get closer to the full release here, hopefully it'll have a similar kind of domino effect. We'll see a lot of that attention be brought all over the world for such a fun and entertaining game to play.
It's true. Like, I want to say that the official announcement went live for China. It was either on the 20th or the 21st of June, with the closed beta starting on 20th or 21st of May, with the closed beta then starting on June 6th. So that was roughly just over 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, they accrued, it was just over 1 million, I think, at the end of it. They were able to reach the 1 million point on June 5th, I think. And so let's take that million, let's say 1.2 million, just to be generous, on June 6th, when the closed beta starts. It is currently 10 days on. So not even 2 weeks on from that start. And we've seen roughly, 2.3 million? So over double the amount of that existing player base. I completely concur with you. That tells me that all of these, or at least the majority of these players, are going into Super VIVE in its current state, really enjoying it, telling their friends, and is demonstrating the sort of growth that we could only, and I guess more crucially, Theorycraft could only dream about. And it's not even 1.0. Like, we're expecting, again, we'll take the quote, a significant evolution of this game for 1.0. So if it's about to just like get gigacharged and become even better than what it is now, taking into account a bunch of feedback that they just weren't able to implement without getting their heads down because they're a small team, why are we trying to not be excited for this?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Yeah.
I do understand some people having reservations because they don't want to get themselves so built up and then say it does fall flat, right? They don't want to. They're trying to like protect themselves from getting too hyped over it and then getting crushed later. But as you kind of were talking about, it's like there are so many good trends going for Super VIVE and for Theorycraft right now. I feel like it's safe to get hype, everybody. It's safe to get excited about this game and the future it has, because it's not like even just hitting 100,000 players. We're talking millions now over in China, and that is like, it is a big market for a reason. It is great to be popular in that kind of market because there's so many people, and being able to have exposure to literally billions of people over there will then spread that around the world and make it more exciting for everyone else. And that's why I am now fully ready to be excited about Super VIVE, and like I am hyped for the game. I think that like it has the future going towards Super VIVE perfectly.
I like the
go on.
I like the competitive aspect for it too, where it could be like LPL. So you got a lot of like, I think LPL is mainly like a lot of the teams are just like backed by like very rich Chinese businessmen, I want to say.
Yes,
and,
a lot of them are. Yes.
You ever need the shy in China? Rich Chinese businessmen. we get over there. I like
the
Chinese food really good.
The rebrand to China.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I say that a lot. Like sometimes Hachi will like, you know, like how you can money tree punch with Bishop, and they'll just like fly. You're like, you sent them to China.
I can't remember. I think it was 250,000 people signed up for pre-alpha for the West, specifically EU and NA, because it was only EU and NA servers at that point. So I don't know how many people signed up through Next Fest. I'm almost
This is Project Loki.
This is Project Loki. Yeah, Project Loki into Super VIVE.
I wish I knew about it. I would have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people then were added to that number via Steam Next Fest. I don't want to say it was more than actually, I think it might have been 1 million, roughly. I think that was the number that they were bandying about, that there was 1 million players, or 1 million people.
Yeah, there was a ton of people playing. Because like all the stream, I remember like queuing games and like seeing Cadrill and dunking him, and I was like, I'm not like a super huge on like Twitch streamers or anything. Like, I don't like watching content. I just like playing games mainly, and like, I guess producing it now. But I love watching Cadrill's live reaction streams to like worlds and like all that. I love those. So when I saw him in game and I got to dunk him, I was like, this is good.
But like 1 million to, what was it, just shy of 50,000 CCU. if we were to get China numbers 3 million for 1.0, that suggests, I know we're fudging numbers here a bit, but that's triple the numbers. And if this game hits Western markets with over 100,000 CCU, I'm sorry, you're not losing that many people that we saw at open beta the next time around with all of the new retention tools that are. I mean, the game didn't even launch with a battle pass.
I was about to say, I'm like, I've been very vocal about like certain things that Theorycraft did wrong when it came to like, especially their move from the closed alphas to the open beta. And one of them, like you and I, Reliq, have both talked about, is the lack of content that was there.
Yeah.
And that was a big problem. That does not exist anymore. There are battle passes. There are more hunters. There's more things. They have been very forthcoming with what they have planned for the game. And so I feel like it's very different now. And that's something some people need to like understand as well. It's not like how it was back when we were doing the open beta, when they were going on vacation, when we were in this spot where it's like, okay, we don't really have, like, we had the game, but we don't have content afterwards. What do we do when playing the game? What do we gain? You have to have that when you have a free-to-play game. You have to have some sort of thing that hooks them to continue playing outside of it just being a good game. We have all that now. So Super VIVE, I think with 1.0, is looking like it's going to be the big game of the summer.
And before we head into the final couple of points that I have here on this runner show is there are a lot of people who are like, oh, the first impression matters so much, and you won't get those people to come back. Brothers and sisters, you underestimate marketing. you really underestimate just how much marketing can do to salvage something.
Yep.
Look at No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
No Man's Sky, like,
thank you.
No Man's Sky was dunked on.
Yeah, that
Buggy
game was
mess, crazy bad.
I bought that on release.
Like, they invested so much time into fixing it over a year. They had this big anniversary patch, and so many people, their eyes were open to like, oh my goodness, this looks incredible now. I'm going to go back into this game, or I'm going to buy this game for the first time. Hey, guess what? We launched with open beta. There was widespread criticism. The player base fell off massively. It's been 10 months, roughly, by the time that this thing launches as 1.0.
I mean, that game was kind of seen as a scam, too, for a while.
It was exactly.
It was.
Yeah.
And it has such a good reputation now because they took the time to make the game good. They spent time, they spent months trying to make No Man's Sky good. What do you think Theorycraft's been doing this whole time? Like, they have been working on the game all this entire time, taking a lot of the feedback that people are giving them and trying to see how they can implement that in very unique and exciting ways. I mean, hell, they went from squads, which was the way to play Super VIVE, to trios as part of the criticisms they were hearing and wanting to make sure they can retain more players for the future.
And I do think that they have done a lot. And actually, I know you're saying that they're very forthcoming about what they do want to do magical. What excites me more is that they've been very tight-lipped
about certain things.
Yes, but the fact that they are basically saying we have lots coming is the complete opposite of what happened with Steam Next Fest into open beta, where nothing new was added. That was the biggest deflating moment that I've had playing this game, was seeing that nothing new was added for open beta launch. I don't have those fears. I'm looking at China, I'm getting excited, and I feel like everyone should feel... Do you not want to fall in love? Love is I don't want to get philosophical, but love is always kind of just like this crapshoot of sometimes you're going to get burned. But I'd rather fall in love and get burned and have that experience than just play it safe all the time. Live a little. Get excited about Super VIVE. And hey,
for fun.
What a great note to sign off on. Sprocaine, where can the people find you?
Twitch TV Sprocaine. I have a Twitter, Sprocaine with 2 underscores after. because it wouldn't let me just do my name for some reason. I have a YouTube, but I don't really post on it. I have a TikTok, Sprocaine. That's pretty much all my stuff. I do want to make some like montages. I'm so good at like making the plays. I'm really bad at making them into a video.
I see.
I'm just good at posting.
You clip yourself all the time with metal, and it's like,
oh, I do, yeah.
Just stick them in an editing program. Just stick them together. Find like, I don't know, Linkin Park and put it behind it or something.
If I pulled up my metal right now and just streamed it to you guys, it would just scroll and be like untitled for like 17 scrolls. Like, it's kind of crazy. I just don't go through. I don't know. I think I let my work pile up and then I try to do it all at once in like some big procrastination effort type thing, and then That's why I was like, if I get the voice line for Matt Mercer, I now know doesn't even voice Saros, I would be so motivated.
You've said it live on this podcast. We're going to hold you accountable, but we're also going to thank you for your time, because that has been a genuinely lovely podcast and actually less combative than I imagined it. Like, I was thinking,
I'm so friendly. Like, I think like
you are. But that's part of the charm. It's part of the charm. Magical, thank you, of course, for your presence. As always, any final thoughts from you?
Bullet trains.
Bullet trains.
Bullet trains. Bullet trains. Love it. Hey. Right, folks. Subscribe for more, like for more. Obviously, this all helps the algorithm and stuff. You get more high vibe. You get more side vibe. Remember that we've got those interviews with Rated, with Whiplash, for community and for lore and all this sort of stuff. I'm going to try and get one of the exec producers, maybe Joe Supervive himself, before 1.0. So be sure to subscribe for more. I think we're almost at 200 followers as well.
Nice.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. Follow these guys.
Don't forget to comment. If you don't comment, I don't love you.
Sprocaine won't love you if you don't comment. You've been warned. Follow Mad Magical on all of his platforms. Magical on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter. Very easy to find, very easy to love. I'm just Reliq on all things. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been High Vibe. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.